Mic check 1 2 1 2. It's the Y2K collector here, and I have been playing Spikeout Battle Street for the past couple days. This is one of the games that I picked up on the original Xbox during the month of November. This is a pretty gnarly beat 'em up. This game is actually pretty sick. I'm not sure how many of you have ever heard of it, but it is one of those just classic Sega beat 'em ups. I don't know that if this game has ever gotten a port to any other system, or if it was just kind of locked to the Xbox. I know when it first came out, it was Xbox only. But this is one of those games that makes getting an Xbox worth it to me, just based on the types of games that I like to play. So I'm pretty pleased with it thus far. I like the special attacks that you get. It feels like a combination of it feels like a combination of Tekken, if you've ever played Tekken, like Tekken Tag, and Die Hard Arcade. So if you ever played the Die Hard Arcade games, that's a lot like this game. Sorry about that. This game is kind of like the perfect combo between those two. And I was a huge fan of both of those games. I played Die Hard Arcade both in the arcade, and I also picked up the game on the Sega Saturn. So just a really fun game. And then Tekken, I wasn't a super huge fan of Tekken, but I definitely played Tekken growing up. So Spike Out so far has been a good amount of fun, and it's definitely one that I am kind of taking advantage of and diving into. Now, yesterday was the last day for the buy two, get one at GameStop. And late in the evening, I said, you know what, screw it. Let me make one more attempt. So I went out to one more local GameStop. And for those of you who know, I had picked up a copy of Pokemon Gale of Darkness about a week ago. And I was wondering if I'd be able to do a rebuy on my copy of Gale of Darkness to be able to get a free game. So I brought my copy of, where's it at? It's right here. Sorry, bear with me 1 second. There you go. So I brought my copy of Gale of Darkness back to the GameStop, and I returned it so that I could get a copy of Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, which this is a really fun hack and slash. It's kind of like a Dynasty Warriors style Zelda game. And I've bought and sold this game out of my collection a few times, but I'm actually glad to have it back in the Switch collection. So I added this one. And then while I was there, they also had a copy of not Wolverine, X-Men Wolverine Origins, but they did have a copy of Azura's Wrath on the PS3. Now, I typically don't buy disc-only PS3 games, but I'll make the exception for Azura's Wrath because I am a huge fan of this game. And I do have it on the 360, but I did want to get it on the PS3. I've always wanted to get this game on the PS3 just to see if there was a difference in, like, you know, what the difference in graphics and gameplay felt like. So I did wind up picking up a copy of Azura's Wrath. Well, this was free, so the disc-only version was free. I'm sure that I'll run into a case somewhere down the road and a manual somewhere down the road, hopefully. Azura's Wrath disc only is still around 40 to 45 bucks on the PS3. I think complete, it's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 55 to 60 bucks on the PS3. I know new copies are going for like 85 or so. But Azura's Wrath is just a fun game. Again, another beat 'em up style game, Capcom. So Sega and Capcom do really well with these like beat 'em up, like these 3D beat 'em up style games. So these were two games that I went ahead and picked up to complete the cipher for the buy two, get one. So overall, I do have a couple of online pickups that are coming in that I mentioned in yesterday's video. Those games should be coming in hopefully over the next couple weeks. Hopefully there's no delays or pauses on any of those video games, and I can start to kind of situate the collection. I am going to be doing some selling online. There are some games that I'm going to sell, as I've mentioned before. Oh, I got the styrofoam to the Xbox here. Hold on, let me just remove the styrofoam out the way. But as I mentioned in my video yesterday, once I get my disc for Smash Bros. Melee, I will be selling a complete in-box copy of Super Smash Bros. Melee. I decided to pass on the disc-only version of Mario Sunshine because I realized there's not a huge price difference between a complete in-box Mario Sunshine and what GameStop charges for the disc-only copy. So it just didn't make sense. So this might just be a loose case that I sell, and just get pretty much out the way. Either that or I'll keep the case because I did pick up a copy of Mario Kart Double Dash as part of the buy two get one. I'm almost certain that the Double Dash that I get is gonna be disc only. If I do even get a case for it, I'll be like blown away, but I highly doubt that I get a case. It'll more than likely just be disc only. And if that is the case, then I'll probably just house the Double Dash in this Super Mario Sunshine case and just call it a day, and then pray down the road that I run into a case for Mario Kart. I picked up the Double Dash because that's the one, I think, Mario Kart game that has not been ported anywhere. I think that's still one that's locked to the GameCube. I could be wrong. You guys can let me know down in the comments. But I am a fan of the Double Dash game. I remember playing it with some friends a couple years ago. This was at the time that I was really heavily playing Mario Kart Wii, which was like the best one to me in my mind at the time. But a lot of my friends really had a lot of positive things to say about Double Dash, so I went ahead and picked that up, along with a couple of others. We'll see what GameStop does for me in terms of completeness. I'm not expecting anything that I picked up online that's disc-based to be complete. I'm really just kind of banking on a lot of those games not being complete at all. So, but sorry about that. But we will see what happens over here in the next couple of weeks. It's really, really funny. There's a bit of a dichotomy in the collecting community right now. On one hand, you have a lot of people getting rid of their collections and selling out. And I only recognize this just from what I saw online between Facebook Marketplace, Mercari, eBay, and even just on YouTube. There are a lot of people who are selling their entire collection. Like, they're getting completely out of the retro gaming space. And I think a lot of people are starting to feel like right now that if they're going to spend anything over $40, $30 to $40 for a video game, they want it to be for a newer game. They don't want to be spending $30, $40, $50, $60 on an older game. A lot of people just aren't seeing that it's worth it. They don't feel like it's worth it to do anymore. And so there's this mass exodus, I feel like, but it's quiet out of retro collecting. And I don't know if the people that are buying up these games are newcomers into the space, or if they're just existing collectors or collectors that were always there looking to beef up their collections. I think it's very interesting, and we'll see and hear more about this as we go into 2025. But this is something that I'm noticing even with some of the comments on my channel. A lot of you guys have been mentioning about how, you're done paying, high prices for retro, you're over it, you're over, the exorbitant prices for retro games, and you're ready to just kind of spend that money on current gen games, PS5, Xbox, and the new Switch console that comes out. And if that's the case, hey, more power to you. I know a lot of people who at the end of 2023 decided that they were done with retro and they were only buying current gen games. I actually went the other direction. I said I'm done with current gen games and I'm going backwards. I only want retro games. And who knows, maybe that might switch later on in the future. I just felt like personally I had a lot more time to collect current gen games than I did retro games, because for some games the prices are still continuing to go up, or they're stabilizing. It's crazy to think that Gale of Darkness is still a $225 to $230 game. Even in 2024, you would have thought that a game like Gale of Darkness would have at least dropped down to $175 by now, but this is still a game that's worth well over $200. So it just kind of tells you where the collecting market is at. Not the casual buyers of retro games, but the collectors. It kind of tells you where their head is at with a lot of these games. And, what the market's doing, what pricing is doing, and what collectors are willing to pay. Because that's who's buying this stuff, collectors. But I'm interested to know your thoughts on just that piece of it. Are you going retro? Are you going modern? What makes more sense to you? And what do you see for your collection in 2025? Let me know down in the comments. I'm almost done doing my November wrap-up video that should be dropping this afternoon. And until then, I'll see you in the next video. So Y2K Collector, take it easy.